Howdy. Here is number 3 for inspiration for figuring out the breakfast tea and bourbon riddle. For this video, I want to go over the 4-inch by 4-inch plot of land, which is one of those things that I think we all kind of struggle with trying to figure out. In the website that Pete provided, he wrote that it leads to an actual plot of land somewhere in the United States that is 4 inches by 4 inches. It is very small but very precise. So I and everybody else that's working on this riddle is probably still scratching their heads trying to figure out, how do you take a riddle and convert this into a very small, precise location somewhere in the United States? Usually, and I'm going to go over riddles in another video, but usually riddles are just one word or at most 2 words. And it's kind of difficult to take 1 or 2 words and put that into a 4-inch by 4-inch location. So I struggle with this. We're all kind of struggle with it. So what can we do? What possible methods can we use to get there? Well, one of his clues, his first clue was the book's main character has said, every word is important in my writing. Every word is important in my writing. My first thought when I saw that clue was, oh, it's a code. And I'm not good at codes or ciphers or anything like that. But when I was looking at other riddles, I noticed that someone had made a riddle and the answer was pi, 3.1419. And the only way you got that was you added the letters in each word. So man, I was kind of excited when I saw that. Oh, maybe I can get GPS location, because it's there are not that many words, and I got this number 134187, etc., etc. And it kind of looks like a telephone number a little bit, but and I included 521 if you want to include the where am I. If not, I don't know. I'm hoping maybe you see this number and maybe you can make it into something else, because every word is important in my writing. Maybe I'm looking at it wrong. GPS coordinates can be both in degrees and decimals of a degree, and it can also be degrees, minutes, and seconds. And I fiddled with it, and I couldn't get it to work either way, but maybe you can take that number and make it work. So 4 inches by 4 inches, it's very small. Debbie from the Breakfast Tea and Bourbon Facebook group, she mentioned maybe it's in a museum because that you have small objects there. It could be. Another thing is we've got fly, and what if it's a flagpole because you fly a flag? Maybe, could be, I don't know. Could be a plaque, it could be a statue, it could be a monument. Several people have discussed that 4 inches by 4 inches is a common piece of lumber. You might be aware of 2x4s used in construction. They're also 4x4s, and they're typically posts. Maybe there's a wooden post somewhere out there, and that's where this 4 inch by 4 inch location is. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe it's not made of wood. Maybe it's just using that 4 inches by 4 inches. It's a post somewhere else. Your guess is as good as mine. So what else can we do to take words or some other information from this riddle and put it into a small, precise location? Well, one of those are called benchmarks. These are used in surveying. I don't think they're used that much anymore, but surveyors would use benchmarks as a literal benchmark. They would figure out where the benchmark is relative to their location, and then they can take points near the benchmark and reference it back, and then figuring out where the different points are that they've surveyed. One of the things I like about this is these surveying benchmarks, they tend to be in a size of 3 inches to 5 inches, very small, very precise. They're actually these metal discs that are on top of usually like a concrete base that goes pretty far into the ground. Um, there are databases online, both for USGS and some other ones. I'm not going to show them to you. You can Google them if you want. But one of the things that's nice about these USGS in particular benchmarks, but other benchmarks, is they have names. And Marjorie at the Breakfast Tea and Bourbon Facebook group, she found one that was named Paul, and it was on Feather Mountain in Arizona. So you look, you know, they've got names, and maybe that's how we're supposed to put this down. But I don't want you to get too sort of focused on just the USGS benchmarks, because there are several different organizations that make these. Let's see. One of the other type, this is not a benchmark, but this is a reference mark, and this is called an Azimuth reference mark. And man, I keep finding these arrows everywhere. These are usually used in conjunction with a benchmark, and so it gives kind of a bearing where the arrow on the Azimuth reference mark will be pointing at a benchmark. So then you've got two things, and you can line that up to get some type of bearing. I'm mentioning this only because, man, these arrows, they're following me around. This is one, again, I was just looking at different examples of benchmarks. This one was placed on the top of Eagle Mountain in California. It looks like they've labeled it Eagle. Looks like it might have been installed in 1931. But here's one. It's the Metropolitan Water District of Southern California. So, you know, small, precise. Yeah, Eagle Mountain. Pointy head, feathers on my butt. Maybe. What else? Well, I was looking at different places, and Pete Bissonnette is from Minnesota. So I was thinking, well, let's look up what the highest point in Minnesota is. You know, I'm focusing on mountains because, well, mountains, you could say they have a pointy head on them if you want. And this one's, and it's called, the highest point is called Eagle Mountain. Man, sticking with the bird theme, pointy head, feathers on my butt. So I went to the look at the top of the benchmark on Eagle Mountain in Minnesota, and you find this one. It's like, oh, this is a different one. This one's installed by the Minnesota Society of Professional Surveyors for the highest point in Minnesota. And man, Arrowhead chapter. Oh goodness, those arrows, they keep finding me everywhere I go. And once again, I've sort of randomly found myself on this waymarking.com website, www.waymarking.com. It seems like if you're looking for monuments or statues or plaques, you know, I was looking up a couple of statues of Native Americans, and they've got these, you know, nice pictures, and they've got a nice sort of database of these kind of things, and I found it a good site to look these up. So if you're looking for ones that are like that, I recommend you use www.waymarking.com. And that's it. We are not now that strength which in old days moved earth and heaven. That which we are, we are. One equal temper of heroic might, made weak by time and fate, but strong in will. To strive, to seek, to find, and not to yield. Have a good one.